the silence of space was never truly empty. It carried whispers of broken worlds and the fading echo of dying civilizations. Among those lost voices, one story remained buried, until now. It began with a species that thought itself untouchable, arrogant enough to test Earth's patience. They believed humanity would stay silent forever. They were wrong. For centuries, Earth had been watched. Alien empires came and went, passing the blue planet like predators circling prey. Most species considered humanity young, weak, and too distracted with their own wars to be a threat. One empire, the Zaran Dominion, pushed too far. They were not the strongest, nor the largest, but they were cruel. They saw Earth not as a neighbor but as a tool, a resource to be stripped clean. It started small. Probes vanishing in the void. Satellites failing without cause. Then, ships that never returned from their patrols near Earth's orbit. At first, the Dominion ignored the signs. They believed humans could not possibly resist their advanced technology. But the truth was hidden beneath the surface. Humanity had changed. After centuries of silence, Earth had been preparing. Quietly, in the shadows of their history, humans had studied their enemies. Every invasion attempt, every abduction, every alien war that brushed against the solar system left fragments of knowledge behind. Pieces of ships, scraps of weapons, broken data cores, all stolen, all hidden, all studied. Humanity was patient. Humanity remembered. Humanity learned. When the Dominion finally landed, they expected fear. Instead, they found cities waiting in silence, skies empty, and the feeling of eyes watching them from every shadow. The soldiers of the Dominion mocked the silence. They thought humans had run, hiding like prey. But deep underground, in bunkers carved from steel and rock, Earth's children waited. Dr. Ilara Vance stood in the command chamber, her fingers brushing across the holographic map of the world. She was no soldier, but her mind had designed the very weapons the Dominion could not understand. To her left stood General Marcus Hale, a man forged in Earth's wars, his scars proof of survival. "They think we are afraid," Hale muttered, watching the alien fleet move across the display. "They will learn otherwise." Above them, Dominion soldiers marched across abandoned streets, scanning empty homes. They did not realize every step was monitored, every patrol marked. Humanity had eyes everywhere, drones hidden in the skies, satellites cloaked against detection, and spies woven into the very networks of the Dominion. The trap was set. On the first night, Dominion troops vanished in the ruins of New York. A squad sent to scan the tunnels never returned. Their comms were filled with static and then silence. The Dominion commander dismissed it as a technical fault. On the second night, an entire transport ship exploded above the Pacific Ocean, torn apart from the inside. This time, fear began to crawl into their ranks. In the dark corners of the city, shadows moved. Men and women with old weapons, scavenged armor, and eyes filled with fire struck like wolves. They did not fight as an army, they fought as hunters. Every ambush was quick, every strike precise. The Dominion soldiers were stronger, taller, with weapons that could melt steel. But the humans fought with patience, with rage, with unity. And then came the moment the Dominion realized the truth. Humanity was not weak. In orbit, a Dominion battleship turned its cannons toward Earth's surface, ready to burn entire regions to ash. Before it could fire, the stars around it shifted. At first, the soldiers thought it was a trick of the light. Then, massive shapes emerged from the void. Human warships, silent, dark, and armed with stolen alien technology, rose like ghosts. Ships built in secret, hidden in asteroids, assembled in silence while the galaxy ignored them. The lead ship, Eidolon, moved with terrifying grace. Its hull was made of human steel but shielded with alien energy fields. Its weapons were hybrids of 100 stolen designs. From its bridge, Captain Eric Cade gave the command with a steady voice. "Target the flagship." The first human shot tore through the void. A beam of light, stolen from an alien race and perfected by human hands, split the Dominion flagship in two. Fire and silence followed. The galaxy would later remember that moment as the day humanity revealed itself, not as prey, but as hunters who had been patient too long. On the ground, Dominion soldiers looked to the skies in horror as their fleet began to fall. Above them, streaks of light marked the end of their empire's arrogance. Below them, the hunters closed in. And in that moment, the universe learned something it would never forget. Humanity's patience had limits. And when those limits were broken, humanity erased legacies. But this was only the beginning. The Dominion's arrogance shattered like glass. Their mighty fleet, once thought untouchable, burned in Earth's skies. Pieces of alien ships fell through the atmosphere like fiery meteors, crashing into oceans and deserts. For the first time in centuries, the galaxy would remember fear, not humanity's fear, but the fear humanity created. On the surface, General Marcus Hale stood inside the command bunker, his jaw clenched as the ground trembled from distant impacts. "We started the fire," he said quietly. "Now we finish it." Around him, soldiers and civilians worked side by side. Engineers maintained drones, medics prepared for casualties, and hackers intercepted alien transmissions. This was not just a battle of soldiers, it was a war of an entire species. Dr. Alara Vance monitored the streams of data pouring from orbit. Her eyes flickered over alien codes she had studied for years. "They are confused," she said. "Their chain of command is breaking. They never expected resistance at this level." Her voice was calm, but deep inside, she felt the weight of what was coming. Humanity had revealed its teeth, and now there was no turning back. Above the Earth, Captain Eric Cade's ship, Eidolon, hunted. His fleet was small compared to the Dominion Armada, but every vessel was built with patience and stolen brilliance. They did not fight like the Dominion. They fought like predators who knew every weakness of their prey. The first tactic was disruption. Human ships did not stay in open battle for long. They attacked with speed, striking weak points, vanishing into the void, and reappearing like phantoms. Dominion cruisers fired wildly, their energy beams slicing empty space. Every wasted shot drained their reserves. Every miss increased their fear. On the third day of battle, something unexpected happened. A Dominion warlord, Lord Varric, descended to the planet in fury. He was tall, his armored body shimmering with alien alloys, his voice like thunder. To him, humanity was an insect that dared to sting. He gathered what remained of his troops in the ruins of New York, declaring the city would be their fortress. But humans were already there. In the tunnels beneath the city, resistance fighters moved like shadows. Captain Mira Solon, leader of one of the largest human ground units, led her people through broken subway lines. Her squad was armed with hybrid rifles, half human design, half alien energy tech, crafted in secret by Earth's engineers. They carried no banners, no bright colors. Their symbol was silence, and their weapon was patience. When Varric marched into the city center, Myra's squad was waiting. Explosions erupted from the rooftops. Snipers fired from shattered towers, and drones swarmed through the streets. Alien soldiers answered with heavy fire, turning entire blocks into firestorms. The battle was chaos, screams, smoke, and fire mixing together. But humans did not fight to hold the city. They fought to bleed the Dominion. Every trap was designed to cut supplies, every ambush to break morale. By nightfall, the Dominion fortress was nothing more than burning ruins. Varric survived, but his pride was cracked. He had never faced prey that fought like hunters. From orbit, Captain Cade watched the battle through drones. His voice carried across the command channels. "They will not stop. Not until we erase them. Every planet they rule, every colony they built, it will fall, just like this." His words were not anger. They were promise. The galaxy beyond Earth began to take notice. Signals spread through the void. Other species, once slaves under the Dominion, intercepted fragments of human broadcasts. They saw alien warships burning. They heard voices filled with defiance. For the first time in generations, the slaves of the Dominion felt hope. But hope was dangerous. The Dominion High Council, far away on their homeworld, received the news. Entire fleets gone, soldiers slaughtered, the great warlord Varric humiliated. Their voices filled the chamber in rage and disbelief. Some demanded the annihilation of Earth with weapons of mass destruction. Others warned that such force might provoke rebellion across their empire. The council hesitated. Humanity did not. On the fifth day, humans launched their first counterstrike beyond Earth. Hidden bases on Mars, once thought to be abandoned ruins, revealed themselves as shipyards. From the red dust rose more warships, their hulls armed with weapons never seen before. Fleets launched not only from Earth, but from the Moon, from asteroids hollowed out in silence, from stations built in the shadows of planets. The Dominion finally understood. They had been watched for centuries. Every invasion, every battle, every failed abduction had fed humanity's growth. Humanity had built not in peace, but in preparation. Lord Varric stood before his broken troops, staring at the sky as human ships chased Dominion cruisers into the void. His armored fist tightened. "They are not prey," he growled. "They are the storm." And far above him, in the bridge of the Eidolon, Captain Cade spoke words that echoed across human channels. "This is not just survival. This is justice. Every empire that thought us weak will learn. Humanity remembers. Humanity waits. And when patience ends, humanity erases." The war for Earth had become the war for the galaxy. But the galaxy was not ready for what came next. The galaxy had always seen Earth as a quiet world, a fragile blue planet hidden at the edge of the stars. But now, that illusion was gone. Across systems once ruled by the Dominion, whispers spread. Human warships had torn apart fleets, soldiers had burned fortresses, and the invincible empire had bled. For the first time in centuries, the Dominion was on the defensive. In the command chamber of the Eidolon, Captain Eric Cade studied the holographic star map. Dozens of red markers blinked across Dominion territory, each one a colony, a supply hub, or a fortress. His eyes narrowed. "We take their lifelines," he said. "Cut the arteries, and the Empire will starve." Beside him, Dr. Elara Vance tapped her console. Streams of stolen Dominion data appeared on the display. "They've grown too large," she explained. "Their empire depends on constant supply. Remove their fuel, their food, their comms, and they will collapse under their own weight." General Marcus Hale stood silent for a moment before nodding. "So we don't just fight them head-on. We dismantle them piece by piece." And so, humanity began its first campaign beyond the solar system. The first target was a fuel refinery orbiting the gas giant Taros. Dominion fleets depended on it, but its defenses were light. When the human ships arrived, the workers thought they were hallucinating. No one had ever seen human warships this far from Earth. The battle lasted less than an hour. Human drones swarmed the station, disabling cannons, while strike teams boarded the core. By dawn, the refinery burned in orbit, its destruction sending shockwaves through Dominion command. But humanity did not stop there. On the icy moon of Dareth, Dominion soldiers guarded a prison where rebels and dissidents were kept in silence. When the humans attacked, they did not come to destroy. They came to free. Resistance fighters stormed the prison walls, cutting through gates with hybrid weapons. The prisoners, weak and broken, looked at their rescuers with disbelief. "Who are you?" one whispered. Mira Solon, her face lit by the fires of the prison's collapse, answered with steady words. "We are humanity. And we have not come for conquest. We have come for justice." Those words spread faster than any weapon. The freed prisoners carried the message to hidden colonies, to slave camps, to entire species that had forgotten what hope felt like. Across the galaxy, the legend grew. Earth had risen, and Earth did not forgive. But legends also drew enemies. Lord Varric, humiliated on Earth, returned to the front lines with vengeance burning in his chest. He commanded a new fleet, larger than before, forged in desperation by the Dominion High Council. His orders were clear: hunt down the humans, no matter the cost. On the barren world of Zyrith, Varric laid his trap. His fleet scattered false signals, luring human ships into orbit. When Captain Cade's strike force arrived, the sky erupted in fire. Dozens of Dominion warships decloaked, surrounding the humans in a deadly net. For the first time since the war began, humanity faced annihilation. The battle was brutal. Human ships fought with ferocity, darting through the void like shadows, but the Dominion's numbers were overwhelming. One by one, human vessels burned. The Eidolon itself shuddered under heavy fire, its shields cracking. On the bridge, alarms blared. "We can't hold this," shouted a lieutenant. But Captain Cade's eyes were steady. He glanced at Dr. Vance, who nodded in grim silence. "Activate Project Ghost," she whispered. The crew hesitated. Project Ghost was a weapon humanity had kept hidden even from its own people. A weapon too dangerous, too unpredictable. But this was no longer a choice. "Do it," Cade ordered. Deep within the Eidolon, buried in its core, a device awakened. It was not a weapon of brute force, but of deception. A stolen Dominion prototype, rebuilt by human minds, it could bend light, distort signals, and create false fleets in the void. Suddenly, the stars filled with ghost ships. Hundreds of human warships appeared across the Dominion sensors, each one firing, each one real in the eyes of the enemy. Varric's fleet panicked, turning their fire on illusions, tearing each other apart in confusion. Through the chaos, the real human ships struck with precision. Cruisers exploded, carriers burned, and Varric's trap collapsed. But Project Ghost came with a cost. Its energy drain crippled the Eidolon. The ship barely limped away, its engines failing, its crew exhausted. Humanity had survived, but only just. Lord Varric, watching from his flagship, roared in fury. He had seen through the deception at the last moment, but too late to save his fleet. His face twisted with hatred. "They think they are clever," he growled. "They think patience makes them strong. I will show them what true wrath looks like." And far away, in the shadows of Dominion space, other empires began to move. They had ignored Earth for centuries, but now they watched with sharp eyes. Some whispered of alliance. Others whispered of fear. A few began to plan for war, not against the Dominion, but against humanity itself. Because if humanity could break one empire, what would stop them from breaking another? The galaxy was beginning to choose sides. And the storm had only begun. The galaxy was no longer silent. The rise of humanity echoed across stars like thunder after a storm. Every colony, every hidden outpost, every species under Dominion chains whispered the same words: "Earth fights back." But whispers could not win wars. In the command bunker beneath Earth's surface, General Marcus Hale studied the holomap. Red zones spread across space, showing Dominion control. Blue markers, human victories, were few but growing. He placed his scarred hand on the table. "We cannot fight alone forever," he admitted. "We need allies. Even if they do not trust us." Dr. Elara Vance agreed, though her voice carried caution. "Other species fear the Dominion, yes. But they may fear us even more now. To them, we are unpredictable. We were silent for centuries, and now we destroy fleets with stolen weapons. To them, we may look like the next empire." Hale's jaw tightened. "Then we show them we are not rulers. We are liberators." Meanwhile, Captain Eric Cade and the Eidolon limped through deep space. Repairs from the Xyrath battle drained the crew, and Project Ghost remained unstable. But there was no time for rest. A signal had reached them, a coded message from the Veari, a reptilian species enslaved by the Dominion for centuries. They requested a meeting. The rendezvous was set on a shattered moon, its surface covered in scars from ancient wars. When Cade arrived with a small escort, he was met by a council of Veari leaders. Their scales were dull from years of oppression, their eyes hollow. The eldest stepped forward, voice trembling. "We saw your ships. We saw the Dominion burn. Tell us, do you come to free us, or to rule us?" Cade's answer was steady, his gaze unflinching. "We come to end chains. But make no mistake, We fight for survival. Stand with us, and you will have freedom. Stand aside, and you will have nothing. The Vayari Council whispered among themselves. For the first time in generations, they saw something the Dominion had crushed: hope. And so, they offered ships, old, broken, but willing. Humanity had its first ally. But not all were so quick to trust. In the shadows of the galaxy, the Carrot Collective, a species of insectoid rulers, watched the growing rebellion with unease. They hated the Dominion, but they feared humans more. If they erase one empire, the Queen hissed to her advisors, they will erase others. The galaxy must not trade one master for another. Plans for betrayal began to form. Back on Dominion territory, Lord Varric prepared his counterstrike. His pride burned hotter than his fury. Reports of rebellions across slave colonies reached him daily. Species once broken now rose in defiance, inspired by Earth. Varric slammed his clawed hand on the war table, shattering the display. They will not rise because of humans, he roared. They will burn because of me. His plan was cruel, born of desperation. If humanity inspired hope, then he would destroy that hope with fire. Varric ordered his fleet to strike not Earth directly, but its allies. He would target every species that dared whisper the name human. The first blow fell on the Vayari homeworld. Flames lit the skies as Dominion warships descended. Cities crumbled, entire districts burned, and the screams of the oppressed filled the air once more. But this time, they were not alone. Human ships appeared in orbit, engines blazing. The Eidolon, still scarred from its last battle, led the charge. Captain Cade's voice carried across every channel. Hold the line. We do not abandon our allies. The battle was chaos. Dominion forces outnumbered them, their ships larger, their firepower greater. But the humans and Vayari fought side by side. Vayari pilots, once slaves, now flew suicide runs against enemy carriers. Human strike teams boarded warships, planting explosives deep within alien hulls. On the surface, Mira Solin's ground fighters defended the burning cities. She fought through the rubble, shouting orders, dragging civilians to safety while Dominion soldiers poured through the streets. Blood stained her armor, but her resolve never cracked. They wanted to erase us, she growled. Instead, we erase them. When dawn broke, the Dominion fleet retreated, leaving the world in ruins but not conquered. The Vayari had survived, and their loyalty to humanity was sealed with fire and blood. But victory carried a price. Thousands of humans and Vayari had fallen. The Eidolon was crippled further, its engines failing once more. And whispers spread across the galaxy that humanity was spreading war wherever it went. In the Dominion High Council, voices grew desperate. Some demanded the use of weapons that could wipe entire planets clean. Others warned that such destruction would unite the galaxy against them. But Varric pushed harder, his voice echoing like thunder. Let them unite, he snarled. We will crush them all. Humanity's patience has ended? Then so has mine. And deep in the stars, the Carrot Collective prepared their move. While humanity fought the Dominion, the insects whispered among themselves. Perhaps the time has come to strike the humans before they grow too powerful. The galaxy was shifting. Allies were fragile, enemies were many, and the storm was only growing. Humanity had proven it could fight. Now it would need to prove it could lead. The galaxy now carried two names on every tongue: Dominion and humanity. One was an empire built on fear, the other a rising storm. Species once silent now watched carefully, wondering who would shape the future. Some saw freedom in humanity's defiance. Others saw danger. Among those watchers were the Carrot Collective. Insectoid rulers with minds sharp as blades, the Carrot thrived on deception. They had no loyalty, only strategy. And in humanity, they saw a threat greater than the Dominion. In the throne chamber of the Carrot Queen, advisors whispered in clicks and hisses. The Dominion bleeds. Humanity rises. If they succeed, they will not stop. They will challenge all. Even us. The Queen's eyes glowed coldly. then we will break them from within. We will offer alliance, and deliver betrayal. Meanwhile, aboard the Eidolon, repairs continued. The ship was scarred, its crew weary, but its spirit unbroken. Captain Eric Cade stood on the bridge, watching the stars drift. Reports of rebellion across Dominion space arrived daily. Colonies were rising. Chains were breaking. The galaxy was changing. But victories came with burdens. Supplies were stretched thin. Ships were in constant repair. And whispers spread that humanity brought fire wherever it went. Dr. Elara Vance studied those reports, her face pale. "We are winning battles," she admitted, "but if allies begin to fear us more than the Dominion, we will stand alone." Her warning proved true when a message arrived from the Carrot Collective. They offered alliance. They spoke of shared enemies, of united fleets, of a galaxy freed from Dominion chains. To many, it seemed like hope. General Marcus Hale, ever cautious, narrowed his eyes at the message. "They want something," he said. "No species like the carrot ever gives without taking." But desperation pressed on him. Humanity needed allies, supplies, fleets, workers. He gave the order. "We will meet them. But we will watch them closely." The meeting was set on the neutral station of Karen's Rest. A vast outpost floating between star systems, its halls filled with traders, smugglers, and diplomats. Humanity arrived with caution. Cade led the delegation, joined by Dr. Vance and Mira Solon. Soldiers walked in silence, their weapons hidden but ready. The carrot greeted them with smiles, thin, sharp, false. The Queen's envoy, an insectoid diplomat cloaked in shimmering robes, bowed low. "We admire your strength," he said, his mandibles clicking softly. "We admire your patience, your defiance. We wish to see humanity lead a galaxy free of tyranny." His words were honey, but his eyes were daggers. Talks began. Promises were exchanged. The carrot spoke of fleets they would send, supplies they would deliver, slaves they would free. Humanity listened, cautious but hopeful. For the first time, it seemed the galaxy might unite. But while the talks continued, betrayal moved in silence. In the shadows of Karen's Rest, carrot agents planted bombs along the human ships. Spies hacked into comms, seeking codes that could cripple entire fleets. The plan was simple: destroy the humans in one strike, then claim it was Dominion sabotage. The galaxy would turn against Earth, and the carrot would rise as saviors. But the carrot underestimated human patience. Captain Mira Solon, moving through the lower decks of the station, noticed the signs: a worker who avoided her eyes, crates shifted too quickly, shadows moving where shadows should not be. Her instincts, forged in fire, sharpened. She followed them in silence. What she found froze her blood. Explosives wired to human ships, set to detonate within hours. She returned to Cade in fury. "It's a trap," she said. "They never wanted alliance. They want to erase us." Cade's face hardened, his voice like steel. "Then we erase their plan first." In secret, human forces dismantled the bombs, turned the traps back on the carrot. Hackers fed false codes to the insects, feeding them illusions just as Project Ghost had once fooled the Dominion. The meeting ended with handshakes and smiles. The carrot envoy bowed again, his voice dripping with false promise. "Together, we will shape the galaxy." But when the carrot agents returned to their hidden warship, ready to detonate the human fleet, the trap reversed. Their own vessel erupted in flames, torn apart by the explosives they thought they controlled. The Queen's envoy stared in shock as the station shook. Human soldiers stepped from the shadows, weapons drawn. Mira Solon's eyes were cold. "You wanted to see if humanity was prey," she said. "Now you know the truth." The carrot envoy tried to speak, but Captain Cade silenced him with final words. "We do not forgive betrayal. We erase it." The envoy was taken prisoner, his schemes exposed to the galaxy. News spread fast: the carrot had tried to betray Earth, and failed. Some species grew fearful of humanity's cunning. Others grew inspired, seeing not prey but predators who could not be fooled. But in the Dominion High Council, Lord Varick smiled for the first time in months. He saw what the carrot had failed to see: humanity's enemies were growing. "Good," he whispered. "Let them fight each other. Let the galaxy turn against them. Then, when they are tired, the Dominion will strike the killing blow." The storm grew darker. Humanity had survived betrayal, but enemies circled closer than ever. And somewhere in the void, a weapon was being prepared. One that could erase entire worlds. The galaxy trembled. Humanity had survived the Dominion's fury, had exposed the carrot's betrayal, and had gained allies. But victory only made the darkness grow heavier. Enemies gathered in silence, whispering in fear and jealousy. The galaxy now asked a single question: if humans could erase one empire, what would stop them from erasing all? The Dominion answered that question with fire. In the vast chamber of the Dominion High Council, Lord Varick stood before the rulers of his kind. His armor bore the scars of defeat, his eyes burned with hate, but his voice thundered with certainty. The humans spread rebellion like disease. We cannot crush them with fleets alone. We need something greater. Something final. The council hesitated, but Varick did not. He revealed a weapon long hidden, one forbidden even among their kind. The Oblivion Engine. It was not a fleet. It was not a gun. It was an annihilation device, capable of burning entire planets to ash. Designed not to conquer, but to erase. With trembling voices, the council approved its use. Humanity had pushed the Dominion too far. Now, the Empire would respond with extinction. The target was chosen: Mars. Humanity's red stronghold, a symbol of their defiance, filled with shipyards, factories, and secrets. If Mars fell, humanity's backbone would break. The Dominion fleet arrived in silence. From the Eidolon, Captain Eric Cade saw the first signs. Shadows on the edge of sensors. Unusual energy spikes. His gut tightened. "Something's coming," he whispered. "Something bigger than before." Dr. Alara Vance read the data with pale hands. Her voice shook. "That energy signature. It's impossible. If I'm correct, they built a weapon to burn entire planets." The bridge fell silent. Even hardened soldiers froze at the thought. General Marcus Hale's message came across the channel from Mars itself. "We don't have time for fear. If they're bringing a weapon, we stop it here. No matter the cost." The Dominion's Oblivion Engine emerged from the void, a colossal structure, larger than any ship, pulsing with red energy. Its core glowed like a newborn star. Entire fleets surrounded it, guarding it with their lives. The battle began before the weapon could fire. Human warships and their Vayari allies charged. The sky above Mars became fire, ships colliding, beams tearing through the void. But for every Dominion vessel destroyed, two more appeared. Mira Solon led the ground defenses. She stood on the dusty plains of Mars, watching streaks of fire fall from the heavens. Her soldiers dug trenches, set cannons, and prepared for the impossible. "Hold the line," she shouted. "Mars will not fall while we breathe." Above, the Eidolon pushed toward the Oblivion Engine. Alarms screamed. Hull plating burned. Shields flickered. But Cade's eyes never left the massive weapon. "We end this," he said. Dr. Vance shook her head. "We can't destroy it with normal firepower. The core is shielded. Even if we breach it, the energy release will kill everything in orbit." Silence filled the bridge. A choice hung in the air: fight and die, or retreat and let Mars burn. But humanity had not waited centuries to surrender now. Project Ghost returned. The Eidolon unleashed waves of phantom ships, flooding Dominion sensors with false fleets. The sky became confusion, ghosts and real vessels weaving together, Dominion ships firing blindly at shadows. Through the chaos, a strike team launched. Small, fast ships carrying human commandos slipped through the Dominion defenses. Their target, the heart of the Oblivion Engine. Mira Solon was among them. She led her team through the burning wreckage, boarding the colossal weapon with grim determination. The halls inside were alien and twisted, filled with Dominion guards. Every corridor became a war zone. Her voice came through the comms, heavy with strain. "We're in. But there's no shutting this thing down. Only one option left: overload the core from within." The channel went silent for a moment. Then Captain Cade's voice, steady but low, replied, "Do it. Humanity will remember your names." Solon's team planted charges around the glowing core. The air vibrated with raw energy, heat burning through their armor. Dominion soldiers swarmed, but the humans fought like wolves, every second buying time. When the last charge was set, Solon looked to her team. Bloodied, exhausted, but unbroken. She gave a final order. For Earth. For Mars. For freedom. The explosion tore through the Oblivion engine. The weapon cracked apart, its core imploding in a blinding flash. A shockwave ripped across orbit, swallowing Dominion fleets, shattering ships like glass. The sky burned red, then fell into silence. Mars lived. Humanity survived. But the cost was heavy. Mira Solon's team never returned. Their sacrifice became legend. Songs of their last stand spread across human colonies, whispered by freed slaves in distant stars. Humanity had not only defended its world, it had proven it would burn itself before bowing. In the Dominion High Council, silence fell. Entire fleets erased, the weapon destroyed, their pride shattered once more. The council trembled, but Lord Varric only smiled, though it was a smile twisted by madness. "Good," he whispered. "Now the galaxy will see. This is not war anymore. This is extinction. One species will not survive." And in the shadows of the galaxy, more empires whispered. Some spoke of joining humanity. Others spoke of destroying it before it grew too strong. The galaxy was on fire. The final storm was coming. The war had reached its breaking point. The Dominion's fleets lay in ruins, their ultimate weapon destroyed above Mars, their soldiers broken by a prey they had once mocked. Yet the Empire was not dead. Lord Varric still lived, his pride twisted into fury, his vow clear: if humanity would not kneel, then humanity would burn. Across the galaxy, other species faced their choice. Some had seen humanity's courage, their willingness to fight, their refusal to bow. They whispered of freedom and joined the cause. Others saw only danger, fearing that the humans would become the very tyrants they destroyed. The galaxy's balance teetered on the edge. In the command chamber of the Eidolon, Captain Eric Cade stood before a holomap filled with chaos. Red zones marked Dominion strongholds, yellow zones showed neutral empires, and blue markers represented the growing alliance around Earth. His voice was steady, but his eyes were heavy with the cost of war. "This ends soon," he said. "One final strike. Either we erase the Dominion, or they erase us." Dr. Ilara Vance, pale from sleepless nights, touched the display. "Their capital world, Zeros. It is the heart of their empire. If we take it, the Dominion collapses. If we fail, Earth itself will be next." General Marcus Hale crossed his scarred arms. "Then we make Zeros their grave." The Alliance gathered. Human fleets scarred by battle, Vaari ships still trembling from their liberation, smaller forces from scattered colonies, all came together. It was not a mighty armada compared to the Dominion's former glory. But it was united. And united was something the Dominion no longer understood. Lord Varric prepared for them. On Zeros, a fortress world wrapped in layers of weapons and shields, his last fleet waited. Towers of fire reached into the skies, cannons lined the surface, and the void above was filled with warships. Varric stood upon his flagship, his voice carrying across every channel to his people. "The humans think patience makes them hunters. But today, they face wrath. Today, we erase their legacy." The battle for Zeros began. The void lit with fire as fleets clashed. Human and Vaari ships darted forward, striking with speed, while Dominion warships roared back with brute force. Explosions lit the stars, debris falling like rain. On the ground, resistance fighters stormed the outer defenses. Mira Solin's name lived on in every soldier's heart, her sacrifice above Mars inspiring them to fight without fear. Banners of freedom flew where once only chains had hung. But the Dominion was desperate. They unleashed weapons long forbidden, storms of plasma, bioengines that twisted the very air. Entire cities burned in moments. The Alliance staggered, but it did not break. Inside the Eidolon, alarms screamed as the ship took blow after blow. Shields flickered, hull plates cracked, but Captain Cade's voice never faltered. Push forward. This ends today. Then came the final move. Project Ghost activated one last time, flooding Dominion sensors with phantom fleets. In confusion, their warships turned fire on one another, tearing holes in their own defense. Through those holes, the Eidolon and its allies drove forward, striking the Dominion's flagship where Varric commanded. Varric refused to flee. He stood at the heart of the storm, his armored body a symbol of defiance. "I will not fall to vermin," he roared, leading his soldiers in a brutal last stand aboard the flagship. Captain Cade led the boarding assault himself. Side by side with human and Vaari fighters, he cut through Dominion warriors in fire-lit corridors. The air shook with explosions, the ship groaned as it tore apart, but still they pushed. At last, Cade faced Varric. The warlord towered over him, his armor gleaming, his claws stained with blood. Their battle was brutal, steel against steel, fury against patience. Varric struck with power, Cade with precision. Sparks lit the chamber with every clash. "You are nothing but prey," Varric snarled, driving his blade down. "And yet," Cade gritted, locking the strike, "it is the prey who erased you." With a final strike, Varric fell. His roar of rage turned into silence, echoing into nothing. The Dominion's last warlord was dead. Above, the battle collapsed. Leaderless, the Dominion fleet broke apart, ships fleeing, soldiers surrendering. On the ground, chains were shattered, banners of rebellion rising high. The empire that had ruled through fear for centuries was no more. But victory carried silence. The Alliance stood on the ashes of Zeros, staring at the ruins of an empire. They had won. Humanity had risen. But the galaxy whispered in new tones. Some whispered of freedom. Others whispered of fear. If humanity could erase the Dominion, what would they erase next? Dr. Vance voiced what many feared. "The war is over, but peace will not come easily. The galaxy will watch us, waiting to see if we are liberators or conquerors." General Hale placed a hand on her shoulder. His voice was heavy but firm. "Then we show them. We are not rulers. We are humanity. We remember. We wait. And when patience ends, we rise." Captain Cade stood upon the bridge of the Eidolon, scarred but unbroken. He looked at the stars beyond Zeros, at a galaxy forever changed. His voice carried across every channel, a message not of conquest, but of warning. "Let the galaxy remember. We did not rise for power. We rose because one species defied our patience. And we will never kneel again." Silence followed. Not fear. Not doubt. But respect, the kind earned not through domination, but through survival. Humanity had erased a legacy. Now, it would write its own. And the galaxy would never be the same.